Hey guys, Super Rugby Pacific round 12 has just wrapped up today. Let's have a quick look at how the fantasy points played out. We'll start off with the fixtures. Blues versus Force first up, 40-19. Did think the Blues would have a pretty smooth run here against the Force. With 40 points, they scored about as more than any other team except for the Brumbies. If you look at how the points were distributed though, apart from Cole Forbes, who received a few of those crossfield kicks from Barrett, there's a bit of daylight between him and the rest of the team. And the points really just got spread out quite a bit here, which is a trait of the Blues. I think they always do seem to spread their points in out around the forwards. After that, we had the Drua just stealing the game at the death against the Reds and Suva. Very high scoring game, over 30 points each way, but players in these teams really didn't end up getting big scores, which really surprised me. I mean, I thought the Reds would win this game. I thought they'd be able to control it with their forwards. They weren't really able to do that, but still neither team getting big scores for their players, and I'm not really sure why that is, but when games go to Fiji, like, weird stuff happens. You never really know how things are going to shake out. Canes toppling the Chiefs, giving them a hiding in the end. Going into this week, I thought this game would be close. I thought it also had the potential to be high scoring because just the way the Hurricanes played against the Brumbies, like, really expansive, really high tempo. And we kind of got both in one game. That first half, things were really tight. It was a bit of an arm wrestle. Defenses were good. Teams were playing conservative. They were just taking the three, kicking the goals. But in that second half, the Chiefs got that card and the Hurricanes were really able to crack them open and run away with their game. And a lot of their players ended up doing very well, getting good scores. And for the Chiefs, really not at all. Most of their players getting very poor totals. Not exactly how I expected things to go, even though I'm not surprised that the Hurricanes did look quite good and got a lot of points. Brumbies versus the Tars really crushed them from start to finish and looked good doing it. The Brumbies, don't think anyone's really surprised by this result at all. I felt really confident picking Brumbies this week. Not that I actually picked a lot of them in the end, but I'm sure a lot of you all felt the same as well. And with Highlanders versus Pacifica edging it out in a tight game in Dunedin. And I thought this game would be close. I was looking forward to this game just because these teams are very evenly matched. And undercover in Dunedin, there's always going to be open running rugby, and that's exactly what there was. And players for both of these teams racking up good fantasy point hauls. Now, if we have a look at the top scorers for the round in all positions, you can see Balin Sullivan, 110 points, coming off the bench, replacing Kenny Naholo, having to play on the wing, and he gets 4 tries in one game. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. Who would have ever predicted that? Well, 7.5% of people have him selected, apparently. I mean, that's crazy. That's just a crazy pick, but wow, that's amazing if you have him. Toole and Rona rounding out the top 3. Felt pretty good about picking Toole. And like I said before, Brumbies did well against the Tars, no surprise there. Daniel Rona getting 84, and he was actually playing in the midfield. Got 2 tries, which really put his score up there. But a bit of a shock to me. I have picked Rona several times this year, but mostly when he gets put out on the wing. But no, he did this one from the inside channel in that 13 jersey. And then Adi Sevilla, 80 points. Man, he was crazy that game. Like, the game was so open and full of running, and Adi, he was playing like a back. He was putting kicks in behind, doing kick chase. Like, you don't often get to see Adi get to play like that, but wow, like, I mean, we all know he's one of the best players in the world, but I never really knew he could play like that. Taumoi Falau, he'd had a good game as well. Not too surprising there, the way that game played out. Taumai Falau, with his abilities playing on the wing, he was always going to go well. Cole Forbes was a little bit of a surprise to me, but yeah, he was just the beneficiary of some Bowden Barrett crossfield kicks. And yeah, I mean, that's something to think about, right? Like, you know, whoever's in that 14 jersey, like, yeah, maybe when Barrett's playing, they're in line for some tries. We know Barrett absolutely loves that option and can execute it very well. And just looking at this top dozen in general, like, there's a real spread of players. It's not just all outside backs. You got midfielders, loose forwards, a hooker, and outside backs, another loose forward down here, like a real spread. Also got representatives from pretty much every team as well, except for the Force and the Endrua. So yeah, there really was a lot of points on offer this week. Just a really high scoring week in general. Anyway, let's jump in and have a look position by position. And my picks for outside backs, they were Radamaitavuki Neatkins, Corey Toole. Those were my two confident picks. Honestly, I did think Radamaitavuki would go a bit better this game. 47 is not a bad score, but yeah, I was really expecting him to get like 60 plus. That's why I had him as my captain. Didn't work out, but yeah, it could have been worse. I also had AJ Lamb, actually. I had him in my third slot instead of Leroy Carter. Something happened before that game, right before the game started. AJ Lamb got put on the bench and Corey Evans got put on the wing. So I really wasn't sure who to put in that third slot. I was sort of flipping between Taumai Falau, Kenny Naholo. Ended up back on Leroy Carter somehow. I don't even know why, but I mean, I'm glad I didn't go Kenny Naholo. Like, really bad luck to you if you did go for the Kenny Naholo pick, because the way that game played out, I mean, yeah, he probably would have had a really good game. Even though I think Balin, he was out on the right wing, the opposite wing, so yeah, Kenny might not have been the one receiving all those tries, but yeah, I'm sure he still would have done pretty well in that game, all said and done. All those Canes backs did pretty well. I also had Andy Muirhead, who actually got basically no points this game, and this is always the crazy thing with those Brumbies back three. Like, yeah, look at him, only 15 points. Like, he played the full game, but just nothing came his way. And you just never know with the Brumbies. You just never know which wing the ball's going to go down. This week it was Corey Toole, but maybe next week it'll be Andy Muirhead. And that's the only reservation I have picking the Brumbies. But yeah, I do prefer Toole in general, just because he's got that pace. He's got more pace than Muirhead. So, you know, guys with pace on the outside, they're just more likely to end up in positions where they can take advantage of opportunities. Also had Kenny Naholo as one of my best picks. We just talked about how he got injured, and yeah, that just really sucks if you had him. Like, that was not a bad choice at all, but yeah, injuries in your outside backs in this game, especially when they happen early, they are just brutal. Nothing you can do about it though. Don't beat yourself up about it. I also had Sean Stevenson. He actually did pretty decently on 42. I mean, compared to how most Chiefs players win in this game, like, that's about as good as it gets. I also had Harry Potter and Taumai Falau. We can see Taumai Falau up there. Harry Potter, again, 49 points. Like, he wasn't one of the top outside backs, but in a tough match against the Blues, didn't even score a try. Again, he did really well. And just look at this, like, 4 games in a row getting 50 points. Before that, 100 against the Drua. Like, this guy is super consistent. He's scoring points even in really tough losing efforts. So yeah, really good player, probably going to be a Wallaby. But yeah, that was pretty much it for my top picks. I mean, I didn't have Tava Nawai there. I think this is his top scorer of the year, finally breaking the shackles and getting out of that sort of 40-point zone, finally getting a 60-point score, and it all just came off the back of these turnovers. He didn't even get a try. Only 2 line breaks, but yeah, just got like 5 turnovers in one game, and that's one way to do it. If you can't score tries, just get like 5 turnovers. Jonah Lowe, I did actually give him a little shout out in the best picks video as well. Just being a left wing in a high scoring matchup, you're going to do decently. And Danny Toala, like, this guy always does really well. It's such a shame that he's marked as a back 3 player and not a midfielder, because yeah, he would just be one of the best options in the midfield. And yeah, that'll do it for the back 3. We'll take a look at the midfielders. And of course, we talked about it before, Balin Sullivan coming off the bench, replacing Kenny, getting those 4 tries. Who could have ever picked that? But shout outs to you if you have Balin. Let me know in the comments. That is impressive. Talked about Rona as well. Really just was not expecting that. He got pretty much all of the Chiefs points. So shout outs to him. And Billy Proctor getting the 3rd slot. Suoli'i following him. Exact same score. And yeah, these two, Proctor and Suoli'i, I imagine most people sort of had these two. I think these were the 2 obvious picks. Like, I did actually have Proctor selected. I ended up making a snap call when AJ Lamb got put on the bench late in the game. Corey Evans got put on the left wing. And yeah, I was thinking about it. Like, we know Corey Evans is listed as a midfielder, and you guys know I like to pick the midfielders who get put out on the wings or in the outside backs. And I wasn't convinced about this one, but yeah, I made this switch like a few minutes before the game started. It was a bit of a punch. Didn't really pay off, only getting 32 points. Generally not bad for a midfielder, but in a week like this where, you know, we had 5 guys getting 50 points plus, like, and when Proctor was the obvious alternative, yeah, definitely took a beating there, like missing out on about 35 points there. So yeah, shout outs to Billy Proctor, man. He looks so good, honestly. He's looking like the best 13 in the country, just coming back from his injury without even playing any rugby. It's awesome to see. Higgins, his partner in the midfield, doing pretty well as well. And Iki Tau, like, I did actually have Iki Tau as one of my picks, best picks, along with Proctor, Suoli'i. And yeah, he did pretty decently, even though he's only down here in the 6th spot. But yes, 39 generally is pretty good for a midfielder. And then once we get down here, we're sort of down to regular midfielder scoring. The other pick I had was Hunter Paisami, who's all the way down here. Only got 12 points. And yeah, like I was saying at the start, just for whatever reason, really high scoring game, draw versus Reds, but yeah, just the players didn't get the points. So just how the game played out, I guess. And having a look at the fly halves, top fly half this week was Beauden Barrett with 56 points. And yeah, I did end up going with Beauden Barrett myself as well. And yeah, I mean, he's Beauden Barrett, right? And the Blues are playing the Force. And even though the Blues, they like to do things with the forwards, like Beauden Barrett, he's always going to be a chance for some points, because he's always going to be getting his hands on the ball, and he's always going to be able to do those crossfield kicks, and of course he's always going to get the kicking duties as well. And I think he did get a lot of points out of it. Yeah, 10 points from conversion. So yeah, look at this, all try assists just from basically crossfield kicks. So yeah, Beauden Barrett, I mean, he's a live option for that 10 slot. Like, when D-Mac's not playing, or when he's not a fullback or something, like, yeah, you always got to think about Beauden Barrett. He's probably never going to get a score of like 80 or whatever, but he's always going to be a super solid pick. So if you don't have a really obvious high scoring pick, I think it's always good to fall back on Barrett. Harkin was another one of my picks this week. Only got 36, which kind of surprised me. Just as even with the way that game that played out at the end, a lot of those Hurricanes backs were getting a lot of points. But yeah, I think he sort of got the least out of all of them. But still not bad being the 3rd best in a position. Lolosio, he was not one that was on my radar. I mean, he probably should have been, considering, the way the game played out. We expected the Brumbies to crush the Tars, and yeah, he got a good boost here from conversions, got a try assist as well. So yeah, pretty good from him, but probably I'd need to see more out of him like this before I would consider him picking him going forward. And the other option I had was Stephen Perifetta, who actually went off injured. So yeah, only 5 points for him. The way the game played out though, he wouldn't have necessarily got a decent total. So yeah, a bit of a wash on that pick. Quick look at halfback, and the only two options I was considering here were Roygaard and McDermott. McDermott was a total bust, man. Like, yeah, just who got the points in that Reds versus Drua game? Like, there's points on the scoreboard, but there's no points for the fantasy players. So Kuravoli was the only one though who really got a big score this week. And yeah, just look, all of these try assists, like that's all it takes really. Roygaard not getting that much play. I mean, it was quite a tight game until things opened up in the second half, but still, second slot, I mean, yeah, it really, you got to have something special that you're looking at to bet against Roygaard in fantasy, to be honest. He's so consistent. He's always up here near the top. Even if he isn't always necessarily the number one halfback, like there's no one else that's as consistent as him. And even if Kuraveli did well this week, I wouldn't necessarily back him to go better going forward as well. And with Tate, we've seen him get big scores in the past, but yeah, when he gets them, yeah, it's hard to predict. So yeah, just don't bet against Roygaard is the lesson at the end of the day. And looking at the loose forwards, number one, 80 points, well clear of any other loose forwards, Adi Sevilla. And yeah, I was talking about it before. He was just playing like an outside back. I mean, that was completely crazy to see. I didn't have him this week. I had Failangi, Tupotai, Loa, and Satutu. And yeah, I felt kind of confident fading Sevilla after what happened last week when Tupotai, Loa, and Failangi, they were the ones who got all the points against the Drua, and Adi was a bit left out. He only got about 40 points. But no, this week he stamped his mark on the game. He just went completely crazy. And I guess there is a bit of a lesson here, like in the more open, sort of free running type games, Artie's going to be the guy. But in those tighter games, well, not tighter games, but in those games where Moana are able to sort of really control things with their forwards, which is what they did in this Drua game, then yeah, that's when sort of Tupotai Loa comes into play, where he can have a crack at those close range tries. But yeah, that really wasn't the nature of this game. Other top picks I had this week though, Carlo Tizzano and Fraser McWright. McWright actually doing decently with 39, but yeah, honestly, I thought he had a lot more potential this week. And Carlo Tizzano, I faded him this week, like, because I said last week against the Chiefs, that was one week you could fade him because they were probably going to have trouble against the Chiefs. But this week, I mean, they scored even less points against the Blues, but he still managed to get his try, and he looked pretty good in that game in general. So yeah, man, like you can never really go wrong with Tizzano. The guy, he's that good. And with Hoskins, yeah, I mean, I've given him a few chances this year and it's never paid off. Like, I know what he's capable of because of how he played last year. He plays a style which can create a lot of points, but because of the struggles the Blues have had this year, like it has not happened. And if it doesn't happen in this game against the Force, like it pretty much never will, unfortunately. So yeah, really no reason to take bets on guys like Satutu anymore when you've got so many solid guys like Adi, Tizzano, Failangi. yeah, you got to have a real sniff of something before you bet against those guys. And in the locks, look, nothing really interesting. Wanga top scored again because, yeah, he had another one of those games where he was able, well, he got the try, but also got 2 line breaks as well. And yeah, like I keep saying this about Wanga, you just got to pick him every week because he's got so much more upside than all the other locks. And even if he doesn't deliver on them, he's not going to do any worse than them. So yeah, shout outs to Wanga, a great pick yet again. Vothi doing pretty well as well. McFunnel, 32 points. Now we're getting down to the regular sort of lock zone. Frost and Ryan Smith, Holland, all pretty consistent names for the lock position who get up around that 30 zone. And looking at the hookers, Billy Pollard was the number 1 this week with 70 points. The only hooker to really get a huge score. And I mean, he's a guy I haven't really rated because he got 2 tries this week, but we've seen him get 2 tries in previous weeks as well, and he still doesn't get a massive score. Like, yeah, here he got 52. Did pretty well against the Reds, actually, but yeah, I mean, the Brumbies, they go to that more so often, so he's always good for tries, but it doesn't necessarily get a massive score. It did pay off this week, though. And he was one of the picks I mentioned as well, just because, well, actually, no, I don't think I really put him forward as one of the best picks. I just mentioned, and my top picks were actually Richie Asiata and Ricky Riccatelli. And I think Asiata, did he get a try? Yeah, he did get a try, but still, you know, didn't really get a massive score, whereas Ricky, I don't think he did get a try, but yeah, he still got a high score on 40. So yeah, Ricky was the way to zig instead of zag this week. Almoa also getting a solid score, but yeah, I mean, this sort of mid-30s to 40 range, you know, that's kind of what you expect out of your hookers. They are a pretty consistent position. Pollard, I mean, you know, I might give Pollard more credit going forward, just because the Brumbies, they are actually starting to look really good. Like at this back end of the season, they look good in that Canes game, even though they lost to them. And of course, they look good against the Tars. So yeah, they're shaping up quite well. And yeah, maybe Pollard sort of gets moved up the list a little bit more. And then looking at the props, Marcel Renata. He was actually one of my top picks that I mentioned. I had him selected. The reason I picked him was because I thought he would improve the Blues scrum a lot, and he did actually get a lot of points out of scrums, as well as on top of getting his try. But he got a lot of points out of the scrums because the Blues scrum, it did look a bit stronger, but it wasn't so dominant that it was just getting like heaps of penalties out of the force or anything. So the Blues, they were just completing those scrums, and that's when the props get the +3 points. And yeah, I mean, that's why Fusitua's done well as well. He's got the scrum points as well as putting in a mountain of tackles. So pretty good effort there, to be honest, for a guy who didn't get a try, almost getting as many points as Renata did. Renata not making nearly anywhere near as many tackles. So yeah, I mean, Fusitua, he might be on the radar a little bit. Hasn't posted massive scores in the past, but also hasn't had a lot of game time either. Next props were Tuamanga Allen, who also got a try, I believe. Yes, he did. And Chris Alpoa, he did not get a try, but yeah, like that game was so open. He found himself in the open a couple of times. And then we sort of get down to the 30 zone where you see the regular props. So nothing particularly interesting happening there. But anyway, let's jump across and have a look at the results in the league and see how your guys' teams went. And yeah, look, some really massive scores this week. People in the top 10 all over 700. Top score was Laker Luka with 787, and let's have a look at his picks. Same front row as me. Looking at the back three, went with the Corey Toole, but also had Tom Wright as well. Also did the same thing with the Rudder Maitavuki Neepkins captain. So Didn't work out with the captain pick, but yeah, still 3 very good outside back picks, and that's what you want to see. And yeah, actually went with the Ikitau instead of the Proctor. Had Suoli'i though, so again, very good midfield picks. Roygaard, Barrett, very solid combo in the halves as well. And then went for the All Pacific back row. I think a lot of people would have done this week because, I mean, yeah, it kind of is the best back row, like, when you think about it. But even in a fantasy sense as well, like, you really can't go wrong with these guys. They're pretty consistent and capable of very big scores as well. Tuputai Loa busting out this week, unfortunately, and pretty much, you know, had the Wanga pick as well, which is all that matters in the locks. So well done to you, Laker Luca. Really the only way things could have gone better for you is if you just shifted your captain somewhere else. But yeah, 787 points, cannot complain about that. In second position is Cal7. Now this is our guy who's actually, I think, rank 1 on the overall leaderboards. At least he was last week. We'll have a quick look and see if he's still there. But oh damn, wow, he had the Kenny Naholo pick this week. Unfortunately, he got injured early, so yeah, that stings. But yep, had the tool right combo. Proctor and Suoli'i, Roygaard, Barrett got the sort of the core 4 there that I think a lot of people would have. Went with the captain Barrett. He was always going to be solid. Like, he's got a high floor because, you know, he's always going to be able to kick those conversions. But yeah, you just know you can make those connections for those try assists as well. And he went Adi Failangi and McWright, so he faded Tuputai Loa. And yeah, honestly, if you ever are picking 2 Moana in future, like, yeah, probably is best to just go Adi and Failangi. Going with McWright, that really puts you ahead of everyone who had the Tuputai Loa picks. Frost and Wanga, 2, like, probably the most common picks here. And yeah, doing similar stuff in the front row to the rest of us. Everyone goes with Ala Toa. Richie Asiata, he was always solid. And yeah, Angus Bell, I mean, always worth a pick. Tom Holmes in third place, 771 points. Again, the Radamai Tavuki Netkin captain, seems like I wasn't the only one who was really failing him this week. Went with the Corey Tool as well, and also Harry Potter. Man, I love to see the Harry Potter picks. Like, yeah, I always struggle to pick the guys and teams that, you know, aren't favored to win, but no, he's been so book good, super consistent. So I went with the Ikitau instead of Proctor. Same stuff in the back row, and yeah, pretty similar stuff all round. Get Snowy, 4th position. What have we got here? Went with Tavatava Nawai. Wow. Yeah, Tavatava Nawai, like, it always feels kind of weird picking him because he's always solid. He'll get that 40 points, but yeah, he's struggled to have much upside. So you don't often see people pick him. People often want to chase that sort of high ceiling sort of player. Had the Tate McDermott pick, did not go with the Roygaard. Didn't work out, unfortunately. Had the All Moana back row. And yeah, similar stuff in the front 5. Snap a Hodgin 81. Yeah, very similar stuff here. Right tool, Radamai Tavuki Netkins. Went for the Corey Evans pick as well. So yeah, this guy here, he was paying attention to what was happening before the game, checking his players weren't injured, making a bit of a clever move, but it did not work out. Also had the Hoskins pick as well. Stuck with Tizano though, which worked out. And yeah, similar stuff in the front 5. Ollie in 6th position. Oh, went with the Zig instead of Zag. Went with Muirhead. Did not pay off, unfortunately. Very similar stuff everywhere else though. Like, it's very easy to predict what's happening inside these sort of middle positions here. Went with the Renner to pick though. That's nice. That really paid off and helped push him up the leaderboard a bit here. Tosso Drua Tosso. Yeah, we got a lot of draw players here. No, we don't, just Wanga. Also went with Leroy Carter. Yeah, just didn't work out that one. unfortunately. Also had the Hoskins pick as well. I mean, could have been worse, but yeah, really hoping for a lot better. And just seeing if anyone's done anything particularly interesting here. Mokupena also had Matt Greeley as well. Interestingly, putting a lot of faith in the Force. Didn't really pay off though. Logan Smith NZ. Also had the Carter pick, unfortunately. Yeah, and the Tate McDermott pick. That one really hurt this week. And rounding out the top 10, we have Hokie. Yeah. Oh, Umanga Jensen pick actually did very well that game, 38 points. So, yeah, interesting one there. Also went for Luke Jacobson as well, but yeah, did not work out because the Chiefs, things just did not go their way this week, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, pretty fun week overall. Lots of points scored in fantasy and very good games as well. A lot of interesting ones that were evenly contested. I enjoyed them a lot. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your week. I'll see you on Thursday for the best picks video, and have a good one.